Dive into this idea of not just winning, but sealing those victories to make a real lasting impact.
Okay.
We'll be looking at this motivational YouTube video. It's called Act Like You've Already Won, and it features Priscilla Shirer.
Oh, yeah.
It's really about moving from like that survival mindset to one of victory and then how to make that shift stick.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The video starts off with this story about Priscilla Shirer finding herself facing foreclosure.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is, instead of freaking out, she just starts laughing.
Really?
Yeah, and she has the foreclosure notice right there in her hand.
Huh. That's not the reaction I think I would have.
Right.
But I guess that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's choosing victory even when everything around you is telling you to give up.
So it's not about just ignoring problems or pretending they're not there.
Right.
But more about tackling them from a different, more empowered place.
Exactly. And this idea of victory starting in the mind is really the core concept here. It's about making that decision, to be a winner, no matter what's going on around you.
I see.
And the video doesn't just drop this idea on us and that's it. It actually backs it up with these really fascinating historical examples.
Okay.
Like David facing Goliath, for instance.
Right.
Or Martin Luther King Jr. dreaming of equality while surrounded by all this horrible racism.
Wow, yeah.
And even Nelson Mandela acting like a free man while he was still in prison.
It's really striking that in each of these situations, they kind of embodied victory before they actually saw it play out in the real world.
Right.
They were living as if they'd already won, and that paved the way for their success, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a really good observation. They had this unshakable belief in the outcome, even when everything around them seemed to contradict it.
I see.
And that brings us to another really cool idea from the video. The idea that action often comes before healing, not the other way around.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so there's this story about a young woman who was struggling with really bad anxiety.
Huh.
And she was encouraged to act as if the anxiety had absolutely no power over her.
So did she try to ignore it and hope it would just disappear?
No, not quite.
Yeah.
It was more about behaving in a way that contradicted her anxiety,
Okay.
And get this, just 2 months later, she ends up teaching a workshop in Bali.
Hold on, wait, from crippling anxiety to teaching in Bali, that's a big jump.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But it really shows how stepping out in faith, even before you feel ready or healed, can lead to these incredible breakthroughs.
It's kind of like that saying, fake it till you make it.
Right.
But with a much deeper meaning.
Exactly.
So instead of waiting to feel confident before you do something, you act confident and then the feelings will follow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. But how does all of this connect back to acting like you've already won?
Well, when you really embrace that mindset, you start making decisions and taking actions and carrying yourself in a way that's completely in line with the outcome you want.
Okay.
It's like you're already living in that victory, even if it's not quite visible yet.
The video actually uses this great analogy.
Oh.
It's about Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile barrier.
Right.
For years, people thought it was physically impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment he proved it could be done, tons of others followed suit.
Yeah, like he redefined what was possible for humans.
Right.
And once that mental barrier was gone, it opened the floodgates for everyone else to do what seemed impossible before.
So what does that tell us about the power of believing in yourself?
It shows that his victory wasn't just about physical strength. It was about believing he could achieve what everyone else thought was impossible.
I see.
And this ties in beautifully with another idea from the video, the thermostat analogy.
Okay.
The video suggests a lot of people have their mental thermostat set to survival instead of victory.
So instead of aiming for a life full of abundance and success, they get stuck just trying to survive.
Exactly. They've unconsciously limited their own potential by not setting their sights higher.
Yeah.
But the good news is we can change the setting on our mental thermostats.
So how do we actually do that? How do we crank it up, so to speak?
It all starts with rewiring our thinking. The video highlights the story of Marcus, who wanted to be a tech entrepreneur but had all these negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But he consciously chose to shift his thinking, replace those doubts with positive affirmations about success.
And that worked.
And he ended up achieving some amazing results.
That's incredible. But some people might be skeptical about positive thinking. Is there any science behind this idea of rewiring your brain for success?
Definitely. The video talks about neural pathways and how our thoughts actually create physical changes in our brains.
Oh, wow.
The more you think a particular thought, the stronger that pathway becomes.
So if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts like I can't do this or I'm not good enough, you're essentially training your brain to fail.
Exactly. But here's the good news. We have the power to rewire our brains for success.
Okay, how?
By choosing to focus on positive thoughts. like abundance, possibility, and victory. It's about shaping those pathways by focusing on thoughts and beliefs that empower us.
So it's more than just wishful thinking. There's actual neuroscience behind it.
Right. And that leads us to another fascinating part of the video, the power of words and declarations.
I'm curious to hear more about that. It seems like lately there's a lot of talk about the power of affirmations and speaking things into existence.
Yeah, and the video really emphasizes that our words have creative power. Even when we're going through tough times, speaking affirmations of victory can start to shift our reality.
There were some good examples in the video, like declaring, I am blessed, even when you're struggling financially, or saying, I am healthy during an
It's
illness.
not about denying what's happening in the present moment.
Yeah.
It's about aligning your words with the outcome you want, even if it hasn't happened yet.
So speaking with faith and conviction, trusting that your words have the power to shape your reality.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot so far. Victory starting in the mind, historical examples, action coming before healing that championship mindset, and rewiring your thinking through positive affirmations. What's next? How do we actually put this into practice? How do we start living from that place of victory?
Well, the video breaks it down into three main areas: decisions, declarations, and deportment.
Okay, let's dive into those one by one. Starting with decisions. How does our decision-making change when we're operating from this place of victory?
The video argues that when you live with that already won mindset, your decisions aren't based on fear, lack, or desperation anymore.
Okay,
You make choices based on where you want to go, not where you are right now.
I see.
And Priscilla Shirer shares a really good story to illustrate this. She talks about investing in high-level business coaching when she could barely afford to buy groceries.
Wow.
You'd think in that situation your focus would be on saving money, not investing in something like coaching.
Right.
But that's what sets this mindset apart. She made that decision from a position of victory, trusting that the results would follow.
That takes a lot of faith.
It does.
It's like saying, I'm going to act as if I'm already abundant and therefore I'm going to invest in my growth, even if it means making sacrifices in other areas.
Exactly. It's a powerful example of aligning your actions with your desired outcome and how that can actually create a ripple effect that makes that outcome a reality.
Okay, that makes sense. What about declarations? How does our language change when we're living from a place of victory?
Declarations are all about aligning your words with the reality you want to create. So instead of saying, I'm trying to get out of debt, you say, I am a good steward of abundance.
Oh, I see.
Or instead of, I hope this works out, you say, I walk in divine favor and success.
So it's about speaking with authority, claiming the victory is yours, even if the situation hasn't changed yet.
Exactly. It's a small change in language, but it can have a huge impact on your mindset and eventually your results. It's about training your brain to focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Last but not least, deportment. What does that look like when we're living from victory?
Deportment is all about how you carry yourself, how you walk, talk, and even dress. When you truly embody that already won mindset, it shows in your confidence in how you present yourself.
In the video, there's a story about a woman who was hoping for healing. And Priscilla Shirer encouraged her to dress every day as if she was already healed, to walk and talk like someone who was whole and strong.
Right. It's about those outward actions to reinforce the internal transformation that's happening. And what's amazing is that, according to the video, her doctor was stunned by how quickly she recovered.
So it's not just about positive thinking. It's about your actions matching your beliefs. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly. It's about embodying that victory mindset
Yeah.
in every part of your life, not just in your thoughts.
Yeah,
And that's where real transformation starts, I
I
think.
agree with you there.
So you might be thinking, how does this whole act like you've already won thing work when you hit a roadblock?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's easy to talk about victory when everything's going smoothly. But how does this mindset hold up when you face real challenges?
Well, the video acknowledges that life isn't always easy. You're going to have difficulties.
Right.
But here's the thing. When you're operating from that victory mindset, your whole approach to those challenges changes.
Okay.
It's not about struggling to get the victory anymore. It's about fighting from a place of victory.
I like that. So you're not pretending the challenges aren't there.
Right.
You're just shifting your perspective on how you deal with them.
Exactly. You're not
Mhm.
coming from a place of weakness or feeling desperate. You're coming from strength and confidence.
Okay.
The video actually uses this analogy of a lion facing a challenge.
Okay.
So just because a lion runs into an obstacle doesn't mean it suddenly forgets how to roar or hunt.
Right.
It still uses its strength and faces the challenge head on.
That's a good analogy. It reminds us that we all have that inner strength, that resilience, even when things get tough.
Absolutely. And Priscilla Shirer tells this story that really illustrates this point.
Okay.
She talks about facing a lawsuit that could have destroyed her entire business.
Wow. That must have been incredibly stressful. Did she panic at first?
I'm sure it was a very high-pressure situation. But instead of freaking out or giving up, she saw it as an opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, she used the lawsuit as a way to show everyone how great her company was and how much integrity they had.
So instead of letting that challenge define her, she used it to redefine her company in a positive way.
Exactly.
Would it work?
Oh, yeah. She won the case,
Great.
and she came out of it even stronger. Her market position was even better.
Wow.
She even got new clients who were impressed with how she handled the whole thing.
So it wasn't just about overcoming that challenge. It was about using it to catapult her to even greater success.
Right. That's a perfect example of the act like you've already won mindset.
It is. It shows how challenges can actually make us stronger and push us forward if we have the right mindset.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Sometimes those challenges can feel like a full-on attack.
Right.
And the video talks about how opposition can take many forms.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's disguised as distractions.
Like the enemy trying to wear us down with negativity, criticism, and competition when they can't beat us directly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And those distractions can definitely throw you off track if you let them.
They can.
The video tells the story of Michael, this young entrepreneur who faced a ton of negativity when he started his tech company.
Mm-hmm.
He was constantly defending himself, trying to answer every critic and address every problem.
I can imagine how draining that would be. It's like fighting a losing battle.
It is. And someone gave him some advice that completely changed his approach.
What was it?
They said, champions don't have time to defend their position because they're too busy advancing it.
I like that.
And so from that point on, he focused on delivering amazing value to his clients instead of getting bogged down in negativity.
So he ignored the noise and focused on his goals.
Exactly. And within 6 months, his company's growth was so impressive that all those negative voices just disappeared.
That's a great example of how tuning out the distractions and staying focused can lead to amazing success.
It is. But sometimes the toughest obstacles aren't external, they're internal. And the video talks about how sometimes living from victory means making hard choices that might not feel like winning at the time.
Yeah, there's a story about a successful businesswoman who was stuck in a toxic partnership,
Right.
and she was really scared to leave because she thought she would lose a lot of clients. It's like that classic struggle between security and freedom.
Yeah. And what advice did she get?
I don't remember.
They told her to choose peace over profit, to act from a place of wholeness instead of settling for less.
That takes a lot of courage.
It does.
Yeah.
It's about walking away from something comfortable, even if it's not good for you.
What happened when she left?
She took that leap of faith, dissolved the partnership, and within a year, she had doubled her business.
Wow. It's incredible how letting go of what's not working can open up space for something amazing.
It is. It reminds us that sometimes the best decisions are the ones that push us outside of our comfort zone and require us to trust that something better is waiting.
Right. But I imagine those tough choices are even harder when you're battling your own doubts and insecurities.
Absolutely. The video acknowledges that our biggest battles are often not external circumstances, but those internal fears and limiting beliefs.
Yeah, that voice that says, you're not good enough, or just give up.
Right. It's so easy to fall into those negative thought patterns, especially when you're facing challenges.
It is. What does the video suggest we do to overcome those internal obstacles?
It encourages us to remember who we are and think about our past victories.
Okay.
Look back at times when you succeeded to remind yourself that you can overcome obstacles and achieve your goals.
It's like saying, hey, remember that time you faced a similar problem and won? You can do it again.
Exactly. Shift your focus from what you haven't done to what you have already accomplished.
I see. So every victory we've had is proof of our resilience, our strength, and our ability to grow.
Right. Instead of letting self-doubt hold you back, you can use those past experiences to encourage yourself.
So we're building up this mental collection of evidence that we can use whenever those negative thoughts start creeping in.
Exactly. And here's something the video points out. Self-doubt usually pops up when you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, when you're growing and expanding.
It's like growing pains, but for our dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It shows that discomfort is often a natural part of growing. It means you're on the right track, that you're pushing yourself towards something bigger.
It seems like the video is leading up to something even bigger than just individual victories. It's hinting at making a lasting impact, creating a legacy that goes beyond ourselves.
You're right. It's shifting from just achieving victory to sealing that victory and creating something that lasts. It's about asking, what's the point of winning today if we can't sustain it for future generations?
It's like building a house on sand versus building it on a solid foundation.
Exactly. One will crumble under pressure, while the other will stand the test of time. And the video uses the example of ancient kings who conquered new lands. They didn't just plant their flag and leave. They set up systems, built infrastructure, and appointed leaders to make sure everything would continue to run smoothly. They were thinking about how to make their victory last.
So it's not enough to just win. You have to think about how to make that win sustainable. How do we make that shift from achieving victory to sealing it?
The video highlights 3 key principles: documentation, multiplication, and character.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's break those down one by one. Starting with documentation. What does that look like in this context?
The video emphasizes that documentation beats conversation.
Okay.
It's about writing down your victories, creating systems for your processes, and turning your successes into something that can be repeated.
So basically creating a blueprint for success that can be shared and used by others.
Exactly. And there's a story about a really talented speaker who could captivate any audience.
Uh-huh.
But his impact was limited to the people he could physically reach.
So he had the talent, but he needed a way to expand his reach.
Right? He was advised to document his methods, create training materials, and develop a system to teach others how to be effective communicators.
And did it work?
Yeah, his influence grew exponentially.
Wow. So by writing down his process, he was able to reach way more people than he could on his own.
Exactly. It's like creating a ripple effect that keeps spreading even when he's not physically there.
Okay, that makes sense. What about multiplication? How does that help seal victory?
Multiplication is about moving beyond addition. It's about helping others carry the vision forward.
So it's not just about your own success, but helping others succeed as well.
Right. And there's a story about Sarah, a very successful consultant.
Okay.
She decided to create a training program to teach other people how to start their own consulting businesses.
Instead of just expanding her own business, she focused on giving others the tools to create their own success.
Yeah, she shifted her mindset from scarcity to abundance. She realized there was enough success for everyone, and that helping others achieve their goals would only multiply her own success.
That's a great example of what true leadership looks like. It's about understanding that we can all rise together.
Right. It's about shifting from a me focus to a we focus.
Okay. And the final principle you mentioned was character. How does that play into sealing victory and building a lasting legacy?
The video says something really powerful. Character beats charisma.
Oh, I like that.
You can win with charisma, but you can only seal victory with character.
That's deep. It means true success isn't just about appearances or being charming.
Right.
It's about building something that will last, something that's rooted in integrity and authenticity.
Exactly. Character is about building a legacy on integrity, consistency, and excellence. Those are the qualities that create true lasting success. It's about being successful, not just looking successful.
Because real victory isn't about fleeting fame or fortune. It's
Yeah.
about building something meaningful that has a positive impact that lasts longer than our lifetime.
Exactly. And that leads us to a really powerful idea that the video introduces: covenant thinking.
Covenant thinking, I'm not familiar with that. What is it?
Covenant thinking means thinking beyond just your own success. You consider the impact you're having on future generations. It's asking yourself, how can my success benefit others? How can I create a ripple effect that goes beyond me?
So expanding your vision past your own lifetime and thinking about the legacy you're leaving behind.
Right. It's recognizing that what you do today has consequences that will impact people for generations to come.
So we're shifting from me to we again.
Exactly. The video uses the example of Abraham's covenant with God.
Okay.
God didn't just promise Abraham personal success, he promised generational impact. Through your offspring, all nations will be blessed. It's about leaving a legacy that blesses not just you, but everyone who comes after you.
That's a beautiful idea, but also a challenging one. It's about changing our perspective. But building a lasting legacy often means sacrifice, right?
It does. It might mean choosing slower growth to build a stronger foundation. It might mean less profit today so you can invest in future leaders. It might mean saying no to opportunities that don't fit your long-term vision.
So it's about thinking long-term, not just about quick wins.
Exactly. And the video tells a story about a successful business owner who was frustrated because his company wasn't growing anymore.
Okay.
He was doing everything himself, which was holding him back.
So he had the vision, but he was trying to do it all alone.
Right. And he was challenged to become unnecessary.
What does that mean?
It means invest time and resources in developing leaders who can run the business without you.
That's a big step. It's letting go of control and trusting others to carry the vision. It's empowering others to succeed.
It was a tough change,
Hmm.
but it paid off in the end. His company started growing again, and more importantly, he built a team of leaders who could continue his vision.
That's a great example of multiplication in action. It shows that real success isn't about holding on to power. It's about empowering others.
Exactly.
So we've talked about documentation, multiplication, and character as key principles for sealing victory. What else do we need to think about when building a lasting legacy?
The video highlights two more important things: strategic redundancy and strategic rest.
Okay, what's strategic redundancy?
Strategic redundancy means having backup systems in place,
I see.
like having multiple income streams, multiple leaders, and multiple ways to achieve your goals.
So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right. You're diversifying your efforts, so you're not completely reliant on any one thing. It's about creating resilience and sustainability.
That's smart.
Yeah.
What about strategic rest? How does that fit into sealing victory?
Strategic rest recognizes that rest is not the opposite of work. It's actually essential for success.
Okay.
It's about making rest a part of your systems, your processes, and how you develop leaders.
So it's not just about taking a vacation once a year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about creating a balance between work and rest that allows you to do your best without burning out.
The video uses the analogy of a lighthouse.
Oh, yeah.
When a storm comes, it doesn't try to fight the waves, it just stands strong and keeps shining its light.
It's a great reminder that we don't have to constantly struggle to maintain our victory. When we're operating from a place of strength and purpose, we can rest knowing that our foundation is solid. We can trust that our light will keep shining, even when things get tough.
We've talked about a lot of really interesting things today, diving deep into this whole idea of act like you've already won. And it's clear to me this is about way more than just thinking positive.
It's a whole different way of looking at things, wouldn't you say?
Hmm.
It's about making your thoughts, your words, and your actions all line up with the reality you want.
Right.
It's about owning your identity as a winner and living with confidence and authority.
And it's also about realizing that our victories aren't just for us. They can have a ripple effect that impacts people for generations.
It's such a powerful message. As we wrap up this deep dive, what do you think is the biggest takeaway for our listeners?
For me, it's that idea of sealing victory. It really stuck with me. It's not enough to just win. We have to figure out how to make it last, how to build systems and structures that will guarantee our success continues.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of the question the video asks the viewer. If you were to seal your victory today, what would you actually do? What systems would you put in place to make sure your success goes beyond you?
That's a great question. It makes us think bigger than just our current situation and look at the long-term impact of our choices. It challenges us to create a legacy that lives on after us.
It's a call to action, don't you think? An invitation to shift from that scarcity mindset to abundance and to take responsibility for our success, the responsibility to use our influence and resources to make a positive impact that spreads way beyond ourselves.
So to everyone listening, I encourage you to think about this. What seeds of victory can you plant today that will benefit people for years to come? What systems can you put in place? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
It's about realizing that true victory isn't just about reaching the top of the mountain. It's about building a city there that others can live in. It's about creating something lasting, something that makes a real difference in the world.
And on that note, we're wrapping up our deep dive into Act Like You've Already Won. We hope this has sparked some new ideas and inspired you to reach your full potential.
Remember, you have the power to choose victory, to act from a place of strength and confidence, and to build a legacy that outlives you.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep diving deep.